Here we are given the function s of t, which represents the height of the ball after t seconds. And in part A, we have to determine the height of the ball after 3 seconds. So we have to find s of 3. So s of 3 represents the height of the ball after 3 seconds. And this equals, we have to replace t by 3 into this function. And this means I will get 16 times of 3 square plus 64 times of 3, and this equals negative 16. 3 square is 9 plus 64 times of 3. We plug this expression into the calculator, and when we do that, we get 48. And since the distance it is in feet, we put the unit as 48 feet. So this is the height of the ball after 3 seconds. In part B, we determine how fast the ball moves after 3 seconds. So this is basically finding the speed of the ball after 3 seconds. So first, let's write speed. The formula to determine the speed is the absolute value of the velocity function. So that is v of t. If v of t represents the velocity, we take the absolute value of the velocity function, and this equals speed. So first, we have to determine the velocity function. The velocity function is the derivative of the height function. So we can write down this as d by dt of the height function is s of t, or otherwise we can notate this as s prime of t. So first let's find this velocity function. So this equals d by dt, that is a derivative of the height function with respect to time. So now I'm going to replace s of t as negative 16t square plus 64t. So let's find the derivative. We have to find the derivative of each terms. That is, first we'll find the derivative of negative 16t square. Negative 16 is a constant, and derivative of t squared using the power rule is 2t, plus I put the 64, and derivative of t is 1. So this equals negative 16 times 2 is negative 32, and then we have t plus 64. So this represents the velocity function. And now we have to find the speed after 3 seconds. So we have to find v of 3. That is by replacing t by 3 into this velocity function. So this becomes negative 32 times of 3 plus 64. So when we put this expression into the calculator, I get negative 32. Now let's determine the speed. So according to this equation, the speed is the absolute value of the velocity function. So therefore, we say that speed, and this equals absolute value of the velocity. So we take the absolute value of negative 32, and this equals positive 32. And we also put the unit of speed, which is the distance over time. So here distance is measured in feet and time is measured in seconds. So therefore positive 32 uh, feet per second is the speed of the ball after 3 seconds. In part C, we determine the time it takes for the ball to reach the maximum height. So we know that when the ball reaches the maximum height, its velocity will be 0. So we can say that v of t equal to 0. So now we utilize this condition to find the time. I'm going to use this velocity function which we determine in part B and replace this v of t equals 0. So therefore this equals 0. 0 equals negative 32t plus 64. Now I add 32t on both sides, so I get 32t. This equals 64. I divide both sides by 32, so that I solve for t. So therefore t equals 64 by 32 is 2. And we put the unit of the time as seconds. So it takes 2 seconds for the ball to reach the maximum height.